The mistakes I made, they were not just scars. They were lessons written in ink too deep to erase. In fact, they were chapters in a book I once wished to burn. But now when I look back, I realize they were never meant to be erased. I thought I had to be perfect. I believed every step needed to be calculated. Every move had to be right, or else I'd fall apart. And fall I did. But in that fall, I discovered something new. I stumbled, tripped, made wrong turns, took paths that led nowhere. At the time, it felt like I had lost something important. However, looking back, I see that I wasn't losing, I was learning. In those moments of confusion and darkness, I found pieces of myself I never knew existed. They were hiding in the background, waiting for me to see them. And honestly, they have become the foundation of who I am today. I used to think success was only about winning. It seemed like it was all about trophies and titles. I thought it was about climbing higher and higher until I reached the top. But now I understand it's not always about reaching the top. Sometimes success is about learning to rise after a fall and accepting that getting lost is how we find our way. At some point, I believed silence was strength. I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. I stayed still when I should have moved. I thought that made me strong, but truthfully, it was suffocating me. There's a difference between silence that heals and silence that hurts. True strength doesn't come from hiding my pain. Instead, it comes from showing up, even when it is hard. It comes from allowing myself to feel, to be vulnerable, and to keep growing no matter how difficult. Moreover, I used to think fitting in was the key to survival. I thought if I bended into the crowd, said the right things, did the right things, I would find peace. But as it turns out, I lost myself in the process. I bent too much to fit into places where I didn't belong. And every time I shrunk myself down, it felt like a small piece of me was dying. Now I know better. Fitting in doesn't matter. What matters is belonging. Belonging means staying true to who I am, not hiding parts of myself to make others comfortable. When I stay authentic, when I refuse to shrink for others, I start to find the people who truly see me, and I begin to see the person I've always been meant to be. All these mistakes, all these wrong turns, were not failures. Rather, they were signposts. They showed me where I needed to grow, where I needed to change, where I had to let go. They taught me that my worth isn't based on what I do or what others think of me or how many mistakes I have made. No, my value lies in my ability to keep going, to keep learning, to keep evolving. I now see that my potential was never limited by my mistakes. Instead, those mistakes made me stronger. Each fall, each setback was just another opportunity to rebuild, to reframe my story, to rise higher than before. Now I don't regret my mistakes. I see them as stepping stones, each one paving the way for the person I'm becoming. They are the foundation I stand on, the ground that holds me steady as I move forward. I've learned that my value isn't in the things I've lost or in the things that didn't go as planned. It's in who I am, in the strength I have built, in the wisdom I have gained, in the heart that knows its worth. So when I look back, I no longer see brokenness. Instead, I see a person who has learned to rise again, a person who has learned to love themselves, a person who knows that mistakes are not the end but the beginning of something greater. Because my mistakes, they didn't define me, they refined me. I stand here today not as someone perfect, but as someone whole, someone capable, someone ready for whatever comes next. So if you are listening to this and you're in the middle of your mistakes, know this: they don't define you either. They are shaping you, refining you, and building you into someone you might not even recognize yet, but someone who will stand tall, who will rise, and who will know their value no matter how many times they have stumbled. Because in the end, we are not our mistakes. We are the strength we gain from overcoming them. Yes, we are the strength we gain from overcoming them.